Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a very long time since I last did a video, but I think now is the right time to get back into the swing of things about all things Liverpool and maybe a few things about football overall along the way. But as you know, obviously we're nearly on the finished stretch of the Premier League season, uh, 24-25. And obviously Slot is well integrated into his Liverpool job by now, and a lot of things have happened along the way. Lack of signings, the football that he's got us playing, um, different coaching staff that he's made into their roles and things like that. So I think now is the correct time to talk about it, and especially with our placing at the top of the table. Like I say, it gives me no better opportunity to start talking about all things Liverpool again. And I'm very eager to get back in the swing of things. But anyway, as I say, Liverpool at the top of the league, you really couldn't ask for more, to be honest. Especially with everything that's going on in the Champions League as well, and one game away from Carabao Cup. But just in terms of the final, just in terms of um, the Premier League, you couldn't ask for more, really, because me, for one, I was very scared about Liverpool's chances going forward because of no Jurgen Klopp. We sort of relied on Jurgen Klopp to give us that X factor, to give us that a bit more over a City, or especially City, as they were our number one rivals most of the time, competing for the title in terms of the title race. 97 points, 92 points. In them 2 seasons, especially, we relied on Jurgen Klopp to give us that bit of an X factor, especially in the season that we did win, because the pushers, and even 99 points the season after we didn't win it in 2018, was truly remarkable. So you take that out, a club's transformative leader, and you begin to worry, especially with our model against the other teams who put it right. They spend a lot of money to sort of solve the problems, whereas we try and do it bit by bit rather than trying to lump all the pieces together. And you know we're not in a position where whether a player doesn't work, we can't just go out and replace them straight away, as a City or maybe a Chelsea even do. So you know I was very worried about how we do. I wasn't writing Slot off by any means, but he wasn't my number one choice, as most of the other people I talked to at the time, they wanted Xabi Alonso, and Ruben Amorim, obviously now at Manchester United. So it was but when Slot got appointed, it was very surprising, of course, and all these months later to have us playing the football that he does, and to only have one defeat in the league, along with everything else that's going on, is truly remarkable, especially with the contracts and the lack of signing questions that he's had to deal with. And it's just been, like I say, just remarkable. So then he's looked into the coaching staff, bringing people in like Heitinga. He's got our Dutch players like well grouped together. I've never really seen such tight gripped, tight knitted. Sorry, tight knitted is a better way of putting it. Tight knitted group. Since 1920, but that was only because they'd been together for quite a while. But in terms of the connections with all these different profiles, players, they're doing a great job of keeping the chemistry going in the right direction. And players like Gravenberg have been able to really excel because of the the leadership group of people like, obviously, the captain Van Dijk and Salah and Robertson and people like that. Even De Trent to some degree, but obviously Trent as vice captain, he's got a lot of things on now, and he probably does talk in private, but he's not really seen as one of the leaders on the pitch. Let's say probably more a Robbo, or obviously Van Dijk as the captain. Probably maybe Salah, obviously leading from the front, is more of their roles, especially on the pitch. Um, but everything's just going smoothly. That he's just done remarkably well to put all this together in the first season. And like he says, when you're a manager, you get appointed, you don't really think about how many wins you're going to get. You just try and implement your play style as much as possible. That he's doing that to some degree, because a lot of people, of course, they thought since Jurgen left, we were going to go in the same direction as Sir Alex Ferguson. Then that's been far from the case, and I think Slot has to take a large credit of that. But also, Jurgen Klopp, he made sure that we were going to be well tended without him there. So you put all these things together, and this is the season that we're having. And of course, there are issues that we'll go on to now. Of course, he's had a lot to deal with. With these contracts. Trent, Mo Salah, and Van Dijk. It's just uncalled for. If Trent wants to go to Madrid, that's fine, because you can do anything. If a player wants to go to Madrid, it's an opportunity you can never get again if you say no, because once they come knocking, they come knocking once, and for any player really, it's hard to say no. Any players like Steven Gerrard have said no to them in the past, and that's because of loyalty, and obviously a different time, and probably a different kind of character. He was he didn't just say no to Madrid, did he? He said no to Chelsea and all these other teams. So I have no problem with Trent if he wants to go to Madrid and be with his best mate Bellingham and everything that comes along with playing for Madrid. But the other two in Salah and Van Dijk, we should have wrapped this up a long time ago. To have your two best players basically pleading in the media for a contract is ridiculous, and it just shows FSG, the way they run their businesses. If people are aware who are watching this, who are baseball fans, they do exactly the same with the Red Sox. Mookie Betts, he wanted to stay, and they didn't offer him the contract that he wanted, and this is heading in the direction at the moment. Of going in for that direction for Mo Salah and Van Dijk. But I'm very optimistic, even though people might say on what basis. But my response would be that they know what will happen if Van Dijk and Mo Salah are allowed to walk out the club for free. And I think it's just Edwards and Hughes. Obviously, the new structure, come into place at the start of the season, of course, and they've inherited a problem that they've had a lot of time to figure out. But obviously, we get fed that they've inherited it. It's not their issues, but they've had a lot of time to sort it out. And like I say, it's just a case of them to trying to show their bosses, John Henry and Tom Werner, that they were the right people to appoint to take us into this new era. And it's basically a case of who's going to come out on top. But I'm pretty sure there'll be an agreement somewhere across the line, because it's basically egos meeting egos, apart from Van Dijk. But they're obviously on the other side, our structure, sporting director and head of football operations, Michael Edwards, trying to show FSG that they can get the best deals to keep in the FSG model, because obviously 33, both are going to be 33, 34 soon, so they're just trying to keep in the model of not offering large contracts to players who are on the other side of 30, the wrong side of 30 in their minds. But obviously these players keep them extremely fit and are very important to our team, so they're very if they don't get it sorted soon, they're going to be tying a very slippery slope, let's say. But I'm very sure that they'll come to an agreement at some point. Like I say, it's just a case of putting your ego down and saying, all right, these two are important to our team. We can't rip them out, because we've got to replace them, and that includes the other signings that are going to happen. Because obviously Slot doesn't have any signings as such as of now in terms of marquee. Obviously we've got Chiesa in, but that was just an opportunistic signing, as Richard Hughes would say. So plenty of business for them to crack on with along the line, and it's truly remarkable that it hasn't really affected the season up to now. Of course, I think Trent's performance got affected the most against Manchester United, but since Madrid came in with that £16 million bid, and obviously they wouldn't do that without the Trent's camp saying yes, he'd be up for it. So it's pretty clear that he's 99.9% going to Madrid. Of course, he can change his mind, but I don't think so. And that will be one that he'll have to answer for himself if it does happen. But I think they've all stayed pretty professional especially Van Dijk and Salah. They've all stayed pretty professional to the cause of Liverpool Football Club, and especially as captain and part of the leadership group, and basically pleading to stay. But they haven't really affected, especially like them two, best in the league in their position. Salah's hitting numbers his best ever season, and he's coming up to 33 years old, and it's just been just incredible to see them not drop levels, because we've seen a lot of players in the past seen contract negotiations have an impact on the pitch and derail the season, and hopefully it doesn't. But up to now, we've had no sign of that. But of course, things can change, and it's up to Liverpool and Arne Slot to control the narratives that are going on in the changing room, and not let it affect what's going on the pitch. And that's the most important thing. I think they understand that contract negotiations, whatever happens, they'll have another team. If not at Liverpool, hopefully not. But the first bit of business is to win the league for Liverpool Football Club, given that they've only won it once. A few of the guys that are left from the old era, they really want to win it, given that we did win the league in the COVID times, so they want to have the parade and everything that comes along with that, win as many games as possible in the time that they have left at the moment. So I think just a case of enjoying it. I think they're enjoying it because they're treating it as if they're leaving at the end of the season. Probably. We don't know if that's the case or not, but they're treating it as such, which is probably why they're excelling in the performances at the moment. And in terms of the style of play, and there's lots putting into place, just a lot more. I know this is obvious probably to some people, but it's a lot more possession based. We can still do the Jurgen Klopp football of high octane, but in stages nowadays, which probably suits us a little more when we have to sit in and just contain the opponents maybe for 15-20 minutes each time. We're not conceding as many chances. Obviously with the Jurgen Klopp ball, with the gegenpressing and everything that comes along with that, we'd concede a lot of chances in tight games like 1-0, 1-0, because we'd always want to get 2, 3, 4. Whereas Arne Slot will say, if we're winning 1-0, let's just take the steam out of the match and just control it and go for attacks when needed. Whereas Jurgen was like, from minute one we go all out to score as many goals as possible. And as you saw, that's the reason we probably didn't win the leagues against City, because when we were winning them matches that we were winning 1-0 turned into 1-1 draws and things like that. And especially in 18-19, that's what really cost us, because we were 8 points clear at Christmas or something like that. So you can definitely see the differences, but similar as well in terms of the pressing and things like that. And that's probably why Richard Hughes was a big fan of him and led the recruitment to get him in charge as the head coach, as they say. But he was very suited to the job, and it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of changes he makes along the way going into his tenure, whether he wins the league or not, because obviously the team will continuously change, because obviously, like I said, Van Dijk, even if they do stay, they're not going to be playing for 3 or 4 more years. They've probably got 2 more years left at this stage, and then they'll probably take the shirt off and leave it for someone else to pick up with the mantle. But while they're here, it's important that we extract everything that we can from them, um, for them as well. They want to get the best out of themselves, and it's going to be very, like I say, it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of changes Arne Slot will make when the signings do come, because there will be signings. Obviously, that we tried to get Martin Zubimendi, the backtracked on his plan to come, and that was it. And players like Ryan Gravenberch, have excelled. And if you told me after last season how he played, obviously didn't play very much, that he'd be one of our star players, I would have been very surprised. But he's very excelled. My friend did tell me about Ryan Gravenberch from his time at Ajax, and said even though he struggled at Bayern, he was very. He said you'll like the signing, and he was he was 100% right. He's one of our main players, and probably been the best CDM in the league, barring one or two like Casido and people like that. So it's very exciting times for Liverpool, but obviously there are issues that we need to resolve. But the main important thing is we keep on the trail of this Premier League title, and we just see it out and just move on to the next era, whatever that will be.